Thanks very much, Alan. Yeah, actually, I didn't have a chance to say no because of Alan. And gladly I take this chance to present something quite boring, I guess, because in the end, you know, when we come from all of this fancy communication platform as a service, whatever things, then I guess a unified communication service or like a cloud PBX seems like, yeah, so 2000 and whatever, but not 18 or like 17 when it began with the platform as a service thing. But in the end, the funny thing is, this is an old business. So we have been in the market for nearly 10 years now. And in the end, just focused on bringing virtual PBX to business customers in Germany. And basically this works. If you deliver a good product, then basically your year-on-year growth goes up, and in the end you kind of organically grow to one of the players in the market. This is also the reason why, interestingly enough, the question came for the presentation. Why is it so special to present this as a challenge? Well, the challenge is to do this in the German market, because the German market, as I understand it, compared to other markets, is a little bit special because, of course, the Germans, they like this quality and reliability, and they say like, yeah, well, we had ISDN, it was working all the time. It was even working when the power went down because it was powered through the network, and you know, you had your time on the phone and whatever really important features that they now needed to give up to go into this IP world. Of course, going into the IP world comes with a lot of hassle of, you know, bringing this all in the same stable and reliable way to this IP world. So in the end, what I realized is that there was markets and there is like cultures that are basically very okay with, let's try it again, or maybe it does not work all the time. Let's try again later. Let's have a coffee break and enjoy life in between while it's you know, restarting or whatever. But not the Germans, of course. They want quality, reliability all the time. So of course you need to deliver that. And the interesting thing is that if you deliver that, then you know the customer lifetime is forever, because of course if it's working, there's no need to change that running system. So the funny thing is, as we are talking about fax today, which I would not have anticipated myself, like many of the others as well, the interesting part is there was some sort of test run from somebody's remote controlling my computer now. Test run from some how do you call it, like a magazine or whatever, and they basically test like call quality, reliability, and they also test fax. And funny enough, you know, Wire Networks ranked first with fax quality, even higher than Deutsche Telekom, which was like, oh no, what did we do wrong? Now everybody will come to us and use fax, and we need to deliver that in that stable way that this strange article is, you know, promising it. But yeah, in the end, no, we at least don't like fax as developers because it's a pain in the ass, because obviously, yeah, everybody had a different idea of integrating T38, and so in the end there's too many different things out there. So but in the end, like this challenge and long-lasting desk phones, Germans also like their desk phones. So the solution was, of course, to say, well, if you have control, then you are in control, of course, right? So we built our own high availability cluster in pretty expensive data center with very good network connection, so that in the end, of course, you know, all that path from the customer to us and from us to to our interconnect partner, which, and I think this is also something that's interesting, if you choose a pricey but high quality interconnect partner with premium routes, your business customers will be satisfied to pay a little bit more, but yeah, get number presentation right, and you know, have this high voice audio quality on the things. So we own the hardware, we own the software. Basically, of course, we use components that are out there, but also we already started to containerize, because we wanted to have this thing to grow in a way that basically it just goes with the scale. So we already started containerizing when that was a very, very niche concept, and virtualization was really hot at that time. Yeah, and that gave us the possibility actually to run everything in small containers. So every customer had his own container with their own PBX in it. So in the end, if one goes down, not everything goes down. So that was also, of course, a reliability plus there. And yeah, premium routes, yeah, using that was, of course, a very, I'm not quite sure why. But here comes it. Most importantly, of course, you need to listen to your customers. If the customer calls and says, this is not working, then you need to look into it and really solve it. Because, of course, if you solve it in that kind of a scaling business, if you solve it for one customer, you automatically solve it for all of your customers, and all the other customers won't need to complain. So actually, that was a huge learning when you have a scaling containerized, you know, PBX system. Is like when you solve a problem, then you solve it like in a proper way, so you get reliable, and then basically you have it for all your customers. And that also goes into this thing to say no to trends. I mean, if one customer says, yeah, but I would like to have that crazy feature, and you don't hear any other customer saying that he wants that crazy feature, then you don't jump on that train and start building a crazy feature, which in the end, you know, will break all your not so crazy but good features that everybody uses. So say no to trends was also a very, very important in the end, you know, very important thing that kind of gave us the opportunity to really just go with the features that everybody needed, and we really, really focused on that features, as well as just 2 device vendors. So we only supported SNOM in the beginning, and then yeah, we had a not so nice episode with Gigaset, but we quickly ended that. So in the end, it's only SNOM and Yearlink devices which we fully support. So we say to the customer, well, yeah, of course, it's a VoIP system, so you can use whatever Grandstream device you want, but we won't give you any support for that. And of course, people in the end, well, we just try this thing again and again. But people were just so happy if they can just take a phone and plug it in, and it's provisioned, and everything works like every BLI pick up whatever functionality that you would expect from a desk phone, because that's why you're using a desk phone and not an app. It just works. So, of course, later on we added an app for your mobile device and stuff like that. That's our CTI integration. So everything that is not just a trend, but really a feature that everybody wants, is like, of course, there. And then the other last and very important part is like, let everyone do customer support. You know, if your developer does customer support, if the CEO does customer support, then they really understand what the customer wants, what's the problem of the customer, and they basically, you know, then can say, like in a team meeting, yeah, you know what, that customer said to me he doesn't like that this button is at too far down, so let's move that button up. And then somebody else says, yeah, that's what some other customer told me as well. And in that moment, you're not like sitting there in your high castle and thinking about fancy features or whatever things, but you're really at the source of what you want to provide. You want to provide a good product for your customers, actually. So, yeah, everybody needs to know the shit. Everybody needs to go and take the phone and answer the calls. So, but Alan asked me also, or put also the sentence in that what is my or our view on how this European unified communication landscape will evolve. I mean, you know, this year, of course, it's all about privacy through GDPR. Everybody loves it, that we need to get so deep into legal stuff now. But of course, I mean, me as a customer, I like it, of course, because now I have much more rights and control about my data. So of course, I think looking at European vendors, Chinese or US solution anymore, but a European solution where basically these things are met not just with like formality, but also with understanding and the same attitude in the end, so that you can control your data and stuff like that. But of course, I mean, still it's so fascinating, but still you also see mobility as something that is really, really, really important and not stopping, of course, but it's still there. The desk phones are still there. I can tell you. But of course, people are happy to say, yeah, I have my desk phone, but I also have my app. And of course, since it's a cloud PBX system, I can use whatever device I happen to have like in reach when a call comes in, and I can do whatever nice stuff there. And then it's like, this is also, I guess, my very, very critical point of this event and this community. It's also about partnership. It's about, yeah, well, do we need to build the 11's CPaaS thing, or can't we just, you know, go together and do stuff together? So I think what's there is, especially for some company like Vira Networks, which is a provider that owns and develops a product that it knows very well, that can assure the quality that and the reliability that is there, can offer telcos or other companies basically the opportunity to say, well, I own the customer and I can upsell stuff to them. And basically there's all this fancy new stuff, but interestingly enough, maybe I just need to follow like the market and start offering what everybody is offering. And since things are like building blocks and integration is more and more something that's a business for itself, you don't need to care about that integration anymore, and you don't need to care about owning the product anymore. So you just white label a product that fits your needs, and basically then, yeah, as a telco, you cannot just sell your mobile subscriptions, but also a virtual PBX system. So I think, going the length of developing that stuff is too late, that's for sure. If you start now, then yeah, well, no, you won't do that. And of course, there's huge vendors out there, but they also want to have huge contracts. So in the end, I think partnership in much more like a, let's say, friendly or development community like this, is I guess the thing that that has very much potential, not only in Europe, I guess, but like in this whole telecommunications world. That this would be my kind of resolution for this thing, to say it's about partnership. And I think partnership, this is a good end already. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Dennis. And some very important points there. I work with a whole range of different companies, ISPs that are moving into the UC space, managed service providers, integrators, and the thing they come back with is the desk phone isn't going away. They keep saying that time and time again. And guess what? It's the biggest pain in the arse in any unified communication deployment, or virtual PBX, wherever, because actually talking to a lot of businesses, when you go UCaaS, they haven't the foggiest idea. When you say unified communications, they haven't the foggiest idea. When you say virtual PBX, they immediately understand what you're talking about. Again, we can use the language here, but actually when you're in front of a lot of enterprises, you have to use a very distinctly different type of language. So it's great you highlighted that. Great you highlighted the importance of partnerships. I would just like to give props to Rob over here, who has some very interesting software if you're looking for managing the device diversity issue. Just to sort of give you some props there for something you built up that I think could be an interesting partnership option with a whole host of players around here. Okay, but anyway, I've just done my advert for Rob and for Dennis. Any questions?
I guess it's kind of interesting in the whole what we call the UCaaS space. Have you operate just in Germany? Have you ever looked at doing other markets? And is that something you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, we're only in Germany, and actually, we've been looking into expanding to other markets, but the hurdle to get all the regulation and things, set up right, and the language barrier on top of that is something where we figured out, okay, well, yeah, let's look to Austria or Switzerland, because this is like no language barrier and like similar things. But then again, we already figured out, no, that's too much effort for us as a company to do. But of course, it's only the interconnection and the numbers and the regulations getting right, which would be easy for somebody else to do, and then just use the product. So in the end, no, we decided to say we have our direct sales in Germany, and now we start to concentrate. We have already 2 white label agreements, and we're looking into more white label agreements.
And are they in Germany or elsewhere?
They're both in Germany as well. There's just one prospect outside of Germany, but that's like just a prospect.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. As chief rent taker in the room, I'd just like to say that we are seeing desk phones going away. They work as a standalone place in the workflow, but what we're seeing is we're moving from unified comms to unified collaboration, which is a much more integrated process and works better when your end device can actually do a lot of compute and context itself, so whether it's a mobile phone or a computer, works much better in managing in that workflow. We have some CTOs who just point at the things and say, that's the most effing expensive clock I've ever seen, and they're wearing very expensive watches on their arms. And it's a new generation of CTO coming in now. It's a very demographic thing, but we think that the drop-off will be quite fast and severe as people work out those workflow environments. And also, for example, in the UK, this year, 80% of all carrier voice calls are originating on mobiles. So very little traffic origination is coming off fixed now. So just keep an eye on that tipping point, because it's not far away.
We are. I mean, this is the reason why we call this unified communication now, because obviously the integration of stuff on the computer, on the mobile device, is what is our challenge basically for the next years, to basically just pick up what's not just a trend, but the desktop thing in that realm, kind of, where you say, okay, well, that's the deal, and now we're hooking off on that. Like as an example, we're using Matrix and Riot now to create that kind of desktop thing to integrate it into like presence and like simple control that is basically then like bots or whatever. Also, of course, I mean the Apple iMessage Business Chat, all those integrations are interesting points, but the thing is, you know, you could be the first to offer it, or you could just wait and see like which one is the one that really is, you know, getting the traction so that you jump on the train then. And while you're ready, just through the fact that you own your system, you own your code, you are the one that builds it, then it's very easy to just, you know, go along with that and connect to those services. And later on, you know, of course, but the desk phone is still there. You will just support it, and some people will just want to keep it, because until it's not broken, you will just keep on, you know, having it.
Yeah, it's becoming a minority sport, though. And also, you'll find that you say the brands, the UC brands are expensive. If you look at what Microsoft do with their licensing and Cisco do with their WebEx licensing, they give away the unified comm side of their entire ecosystems bundled up in the licenses, because they understand that's the piece that they're attacking. So they sell the enterprise workflow orchestration and then bundle in for free the voice bit. And that's very, you know, it's hard to beat free, sure, as we all know.
Yeah.
And finally from Peter.
Out of the incumbent telecom space, I'm curious, and actually I just want to conclude the beginning of the discussion from BD's side. So how do you position yourself in the competitive landscape versus the incumbent telcos? And as well, there are large UCAS-only players that are actively coming now to the European market from North America, who can compete on scale and on the maturity of the products. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So what we see actually is there's a big stickiness in the first place. So of course there's like new solutions popping up every day, but in the end you see that again that might be just very special for the German market, but a German business that basically has a phone system and does calls with it or whatever, you know, 2-3 features. If they not have a reason to shift to a product with some higher offering, then they won't do it, because actually if basically a phone system works, then this is most of the times like a foundation for their business. So because I mean that's the point. I mean, of course you just attract those businesses as your customer, but those businesses basically they need to have customers call them whenever, and they need to be in a like representative way in terms of if they call and it does not work, then only if it's one time, it's still something that's bad for their reputation. So of course, if you have startups or if you have like huge corporates, they of course have different measures for like which product they will use. But like this like thousands or 100,000s of small to medium-sized businesses that you have in Germany at least, I guess, you know, if that's my whole point, you know, we always hear that, and this is always something that is kind of really the boiled down thing. You give great customer support. It's very, very personal. It's very warm. It's not a call center, and you know the people that you're talking to. That's comforting for them, because they know, okay, if something goes wrong, I really can call someone. That's the first thing. So I don't want to have a call center agent in India from a big US corporation that cannot do anything about my problem, doesn't speak my language and stuff like that. So I think maybe there's big vendors, there's good offers, but if they're not basically putting it to the right point in the market with all the, you know, localization with the language, with the cultural thinking there, then basically they can come, they will get a market share, but they will not basically persist in the way that we are persisting for 10 years now, in terms of like, happy customers. Happy customers will stay.
So I'll have to draw a line there. But again, thank you so much, Dennis. That was excellent.
Thank you.
So, Andre, if you could come and get yourselves set up. But again, I'd just like to emphasize the desk phone is not going away. Yes, it's diminishing, but across many different countries, because you can't look at the world from just your country and your experience. You've got to look at the data. And just look at the data today in terms of the number of desk phones that are maybe not in active use, but are deployed, and certain large organizations are making money out of them. Also, another error I see is when you squint and you go, well, it's Cisco and it's Microsoft and there's nobody else. Well, when you actually start digging in and you're looking on a country-by-country basis, you see a lot of diversity. And medium-sized businesses doing very good job in basically growing a range of businesses around what is virtual PBX.